Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you are. Good day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shivani Khare, your host for the day. I take great pleasure in welcoming all of you to the day 3 of Global Emerging Tech Summit 2021, organized by the Emerging Tech Foundation, Computer Society of India, Andhra Pradesh State Skill Development Corporation, Global Engineering Deans Council, and International Federation of Engineering Education Societies. University of Emerging Technologies is about E5, evangelize, educate, empower, enlighten, and engage about emerging technologies. This conference is about bringing emerging tech closer to the next generation of professionals and making effective use of virtual education. We are delivering a series of 6 lectures ranging across various topics in emerging tech over 3 weekends, that is 6 days, Saturday and Sunday in 6 sessions, till the 2nd of May. Every session is opened by a keynote speaker who is an eminent personality from either tech or education, followed by the lecture of the day. The attendees are encouraged to send in their questions during the lecture. It can be via chat, tweet, email, and then we'll have a separate Q&A session soon after the completion of the lecture. After that, Mr. Prasad Mahbudari, CEO of University of Emerging Technologies, will deliver his closing remarks and also answer some of your questions. Now I take pleasure in introducing a keynote speaker for the day, Dr. Tagwa Musa. Dr. Tagwa Musa is an Associate Professor of Petroleum Engineering and the former Dean of College of Petroleum Engineering and Technology at Sudan University of Science and Technology. She is the first Sudanese woman to receive a PhD in petroleum engineering. She has an extensive research and teaching experience in addition to significant contribution to industry, engineering education, and community service programs, both locally and internationally. In 2017, she received the Women in Industry and Academy Award from Industrial Engineering and Operation Management Society. In 2019, she received the Society of Petroleum Engineers Regional Service Award for Middle East and North Africa region. Dr. Tagwa Musa has been elected as Global Engineering Deans Council Executive Committee member in 2019. She has a bachelor with first class honors degree from Sudan University of Science and Technology and a master's and a PhD degree from China University of Geosciences. Additionally, she is also serving as Associate Vice Chancellor for the University of Emerging Technologies and Advisory Board member for the Emerging Tech Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Dr. Tagwa Musa.
Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Shifani, for this introduction. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. And Ramadan Kareem, happy Ramadan month for all Muslims joining today this session. As Shifani said, my name is Tagwa Musa. I'm talking from Khartoum, the capital of Sudan in the North Central Africa. And I know most of the attendees are from different geographical areas around the world. Unfortunately, we are here today because of technology. Technology just help us to communicate today online. And online learning has shown significant growth over the last years as the internet and education combines to provide people with the opportunities to gain new skills and new knowledge. Recently, the pandemic has forced schools, universities, companies to remote working, and this booms the usage of online learning. We benefit a lot from this online learning since we have opportunities to find what we need, learn from well-known professionals and experts around the world without leaving our desk and without leaving home. It depends more of just this online learning opens more opportunities for collaborations and just increase the possibility to gain the sustainable development goals. Of course, where there is infrastructures, because infrastructures are the main factor in these technologies at all. And the latest technologies impacted the evolution of online learning is emerging technologies. Emerging technologies include a variety of technologies such as educational technology, information technology, nanotechnologies, biotechnologies, robotic, artificial intelligence, and so many more. Emerging technologies has the power to change the way we are working or we work. It can change the way we do business, making our world smarter, more efficient, and safer. Emerging technologies has the potential to create a significant advantages for business. For example, artificial intelligence can be used in many different industries, including information technology, medicine, finance, engineering, and so many other sectors. In manufacturing, big data helps care for assets, reduce costs, and limit the risk of downtime. And today, Mr. James is going to let us know more about cloud and it is a storage capacity for this big data, because so many people just worried when you say big data, they worried about storage and others. Technology may also enable us to become producer of our own product. We can create jobs instead of looking for a job. Students don't need to wait for graduation to find a job. Really, there are thousands of students now, they already have their own business using emerging technologies. If we have a look on emerging technologies with respect or with a gender point of view, emerging technologies actually has great potential to impact the careers for women across all sectors. Women and men need to be keenly aware of this and take action, help women to progress in their careers. Women need to adjust their skill set to move forward in their careers and not be left behind. Currently, women hold only 20% of roles creates bots in major tech companies. Most of women not receiving the benefit of artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, or other emerging technologies due to their lack of participation or inability to participate. Really, this is unfortunately, this is most of the situation for women. This can prevent women from having the necessary skills to lead the development and application of such technologies. If this does not change, the situation really will get worse. Without greater access and suitable delivery mechanism to emerging technology education, women will be unable to transition to occupation of the future. And consequently, women will remain underrepresented among successful entrepreneurs and face more of obstacles than men in starting and growing their own businesses. Although smartphones and mobiles internet facilities are currently the key function of daily life, the fact that women and girls too often lack access to information and communication technologies and lack the digital skills to use them effectively, especially in the rural areas. While this digital gender divide is putting women and girls at risk of being left behind in real economic and social life, it also leads to a low female pool of talent in science, technology, engineering, and education. Studies show that there are only 22% of artificial intelligence professionals worldwide of female, while there are only 12% of artificial intelligence women researchers. Fortunately, UNESCO has many ongoing researches on the digital gender and skills gap, gender biases, and AI as general, and emerging technologies. Also, there are some other organizations doing great job in this regard. And even there are so many individuals. I know so many individuals are working very hard to spread the culture of emerging technologies. Despite progress, women still need more training and access to technology to boost their digital power. So how we can help close the digital gender diversity? How to work to just close this gender divided? And how can we encourage more women to become a part of digital world? Anyone can work on this. And even just if you start from your home with women in your family, you can help on that. There are so many ways, and we can act and do so many things just to act to head off this future. For example, the private sector could create partnership with the schools and universities and expose girls to technology early on, provide them with role models and mentors within the technology sector, and often them scholarship to support their studies in ICT fields. Also, the private sector could also work or start partnership with civil society and governmental organizations to teach digital skills to women and girls in developing countries and educate women and girls about their digital rights. Organizations as general can do some the job training or retraining for women, because teaching women how to create content and share information on digital media can open more opportunities for economic and professional growth. On a wider level in society, we need to attract women, especially young women, toward career in emerging technology disciplines. And anyone, as I said, can work just in his small family and his friends, among his friends, to teach women how to use technology and how to benefit from it. But really, most important is what the woman can do for herself. So please let me just send some message for my colleagues and friends. For all women, keep your technology skills up to date. Regularly update your emerging tech skills and learn new capabilities. Also use social media, such like LinkedIn, to see what is new in your career and what is in demand and what was already declined. The other things, volunteer or get engaged in new emerging technology-related initiatives in your organization or communities, because the best way to learn is hands-on. Most important, to build your network and ecosystem. Keep in touch with your contacts in other organizations and sectors. This will give you a greater sense of how emerging tech is reshaping the world of work for women and how you can respond. Also, please know the facts and act on them. Just engage your colleagues to change for everyone's benefit. And please let me conclude with some words. Technology can promote gender equality or prevent it. The choice is ours, really. But women should take care of themselves. The effects of technology on women are not all positive. There are some apps has been used by men to track women's activity and many other negative examples. So just take care of yourself, be up to date, and understand how technologies work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the very wonderful speech.
Thank you.
Now I take the pleasure in introducing our speaker for the day, Mr. James D'Souza. Mr. D'Souza is a seasoned professional with 22 years of experience within the software industry in various engineering and leadership roles. He is currently educating aspiring students in cloud computing at the University of Mumbai. Previously, he worked as senior manager, lead analyst at the Bank of America. Mr. D'Souza has done his Masters of Science in Computer Science from the University of Mumbai. He is currently an AWS Practitioner certified and an approved AWS educator. Mr. D'Souza had shared a pre-recorded lecture on Flight to Amazon Web Services, and after that, he'll be available for the Q&A session. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look.
Okay, so hello everyone, my name is James D'Souza. Welcome to Global Imaging Technology Summit. So, you would have already been briefed up about the various technologies that are available today, and cloud is definitely one of them, right? So, and I'll be speaking on cloud. So before that, let me introduce myself. And my name is James D'Souza. I started in 1997 with M.Sc Computer Science from University of Mumbai. And it took me some time to get my first job. It took me around 3 months, and but I've kind of since then never looked back. Initially, I started working on C++, Visual C++ language, and I was working on systems programming. So it would involve multi-threading and collecting data, live data from the machinery, and those kind of program. So the first 2 years I was involved in that kind of stuff and using different other softwares like SQL Server, and then I also learned about UML, and starting was one of the project. Not one of the projects, but one of the softwares which was involved with the code repository. So I kind of got my hands on into all of these things, and I moved on to USA, and I worked 3 years with different clients, and there had worked on VB, ASP. Those days that was the emerging web application. The web internet was booming, and all these web applications were coming up, and all these new languages I learned on the way with nobody to teach. So that's how we grow. And after those years, I returned back to India, and I started, getting a lot of leadership roles in technical management roles. So sometimes I was a project lead, a group leader, or technical architect, and senior manager. So last company which I worked on was for Bank of America. I worked for more than around 10 years in the mortgage division and managed around 3-4 business units, which was a mix of .NET and iSeries platform developers. And soon after that, I moved, when I left Bank of America, that was around 5 years back, I became independent, kind of a freelancer, when doing my own projects and carrying out my own initiatives and reaching out to students. Last few years, I've been teaching the students, and cloud is something new even I trust. And I did one project for one of my clients on Azure cloud. And AWS is something I touched on a few years back as well. And today I'm certified, and kind of connected with AWS as well, and educating, through the academy, course access, to and reaching out to all the students. And so that is what we are going to talk about today, right? Cloud. What is cloud? So that subject is something which I've been teaching for the last few years, and AWS. So we'll be talking about cloud and AWS today. So welcome, and I really thank everyone for this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, so let's take a flight. Let's take a flight like a plane, okay, to Amazon Web Services Cloud. Okay. So the agenda is, before we talk about cloud, we have to know what cloud means to me, right? What's the definition of cloud? What is the characteristics of cloud computing? What does all these other things on the agenda means? But the first thing first, what is cloud? That term, the first time we hear this word, we think about the cloud in the sky, right? Something like that. Oh, there's a cloud. That's the cloud. Right? That's one definition of cloud. But in the digital world, we have to, cloud does not mean the cloud in the sky exactly, okay? So here you see a laptop. Is my laptop or my computer or your computer, is it a cloud? I think, is it a cloud? We don't know. So let's see. Now here you will see, this is some kind of a rack of servers, okay? So normally when we see the computer, we see something like this. It has a processor, a memory, a storage, right? These folks also have the same things, but it's just that you're not really looking at some screen, and you're looking at a set of some kind of servers placed in the rack, which has the very same components like processor, memory, storage. These are the three main components which makes your computer run, right? So the question is this rack of computer servers, which may be in a data center? Okay, so the word data center is so important at this stage. A data center can be thought of, you can think of a room filled with all these racks, with all these servers. And each of these servers have powerful processors, powerful memories and storage provisions, So a data center is a collection of all these, servers, which with very powerful components which ideally, similar components which makes your computer run. Maybe your computer has a dual core processor, quad core processor, and this fellow is maybe having more processor, like maybe 64 core processors. So I'm talking about a word called core also. A process these days we talk about cores, right? A core is also like a processor, and if it's a dual core, then we're talking about 2 core processors, and if it's a quad core, 4 processors, and we can have 128 core processors if it's a very powerful computer. And big companies do have this kind of servers with such powerful configuration, and they kind of rack it up in a data center, and we can connect through this network. So you see a mesh of wires, but not everybody, every data center will look like, so one neat or something. This is just a small rack example. So the question is this a cloud? Is this a cloud? Is a laptop a cloud? Is a rack of computer cloud? So when we hear about cloud, we think about AWS in the digital world. Oh, maybe AWS is a cloud. Maybe Azure is a cloud. Maybe Google Cloudflare is a cloud. So these are definitely cloud providers. So they provide you the service of the cloud. So they are cloud providers. So to understand what is a cloud, when you think about cloud, what you should be thinking about, to know that, first you need to understand how a normal computer works, right? A normal computer starts with a hardware. You buy the laptop and you get this processor, memory, storage, and you tell your friend, I have a dual core processor with a 2 GB RAM and maybe a 1 TB storage. Without the hardware, nothing works, right? Then you need an operating system. So you have a Windows operating system on that, maybe a Linux operating system. If you have a mobile, then you may be going with iOS, iOS operating system, Android operating system. And an operating system knows how to, work with the hardware. Then once you have this operating system who knows to play with the hardware, you kind of can install some platform. So example of a platform, maybe a Java runtime engine. What does this platform do? What does a platform mean actually? A platform is something which you can use to build your applications, right? So I have installed a SQL server. It's a database platform. I have installed a Java runtime engine. It is a Java platform. And platforms, you can have multiple platforms on single operating system, right? You can run a Java program. You can run a Python program on the same platform, on the same hardware, right? So a platform, based on this platform, my applications can be built. So if you see the top layer, which is Java programs, that becomes your ultimate application, my hello world application. Yes, my program says hello, but without that platform, it is not possible. But without the platform is not possible with the underlying support, right? The underlying operating system, and operating system cannot work without the underlying hardware. So you see at the bottom level, there's an infrastructure of hardware. In the middle layer, you see 2-3 platforms. Operating system is also a platform, which helps you run other platforms. So one platform is helping to create another platform, and ultimately those platforms help you to create applications. So you can categorize or maybe stack this up. Everything begins with an infrastructure. It follows with a platform on top, and it follows with an application on top. So infrastructure, platform, and application. So that's how you view your computer. So that is the very things that I've been telling you. Java program is a software, Java runtime is a platform, operating system is also an example of a platform, and hardware is your actual infrastructure. So when we say cloud, we are talking about these services: infrastructure services, platform services, software services. So every hardware resource is a kind of a cloud resource. So what can come in the hardware? A processor, cores, memory, hard disk storage, computer, rack of servers, networks, everything. You build everything with this physical infrastructure, and then only you can build something on the top of this and use it, without this. So this hardware, when you think about cloud, think about all these resources, If you're saying you're getting cloud service, that means you're getting a processor, you're getting a memory, you're getting a hard disk storage, or maybe different type of storages. Hard disk storage is just one type of storage which we use on a local computer. Now we have SSD, right? And there may be different types of storages available. And a computer itself, a server, you may get a whole server, a rack of servers. So every platform resource is also a cloud. So sometimes I may say, I am giving you my operating system, but I am not giving you my hardware. So what does that mean? It means I'm giving you platform service, but my platform, I know it cannot run without my hardware. So I'm actually, when I'm saying giving you a platform, I'm actually running it on my hardware and giving it to you. But you're getting both in a way, right? So a platform resource is also a cloud. So on this platform, you may get a database server, web server, file server, Java runtime engine, the .NET Core framework, operating system, right? So a platform, when you get a platform resource, you are also getting the underlying infrastructure resource, but you're not getting access to it. What you're getting access is to the platform, not the infrastructure. So the access is the difference. When you say I'm giving you hardware resource, which means you have direct access to my infrastructure, direct access to my computer, and you can install anything and everything that you wish. But when I'm giving you a platform service, I'm giving you a platform service, yes, but you cannot touch my hardware. You cannot, you can access, you can start my operating system, you can switch off my operating system, but you cannot start and switch off my computer. So that's the difference of access. And then we have the software applications, right, which we get access all over the world. One application has been broadcasted and given access to everyone. So many customers. So on Facebook, Google, Salesforce.com, so many examples we have, right, of where the application has been provided. But can this application be running without some platform? Can this platform run without this infrastructure? So definitely Facebook gives me the access to the Facebook, but it doesn't give me the access to the underlying platforms unless you're a developer. They have this developer.facebook.com and they'll give access and they'll say, okay, do some experiments over here. That's fine. But definitely they don't let you touch your hardware unless you're an employee of the Facebook, right? So different people have different levels of access. But Facebook as such is an application which over the web is been catered to multiple users. What is going on Mr. A's account is not known with B account. So A and B are both called tenants of the software, tenants of Facebook, and Facebook is giving you a multi-tenant. A tenant usually means a person, who stays in a house for rent. Now, usually only, one person pays the rent and one person stays in a house. But in application, multiple, so you think of a house where multiple tenants are staying and each one is giving different rents. So more tenants, you can divide the rent, let's say it's 15,000 and five people are staying in that house. Each person just has to give 3,000. So it's an economy of scale, right? The more tenants I serve using a single house, the more money I make. And the customer also is better for the customer because it's cheaper. And cloud uses this, mechanism, economies of scale, one application for everyone. So the cost for each customer becomes less, and it becomes easier for Facebook to manage. It's called a multi-tenant model. So remember the word multi-tenant model. Where there are multiple customers using the same application. So a software application, also can be a cloud. When we get software application as a service, that is running on a platform. We are not getting access to the platform. We are not getting access to the infrastructure that supports that platform. But we definitely get software, service. And that is a beautiful thing, right? Customers, want Salesforce.com. I want my salespeople to use Salesforce.application. This company, they just have to register Salesforce.com and not worry about all the complications, platforms, the configuration, the installation, the infrastructure, nothing to purchase. Just access my application. I will take care of the platform. I will take care of the infrastructure. So in cloud, like let's say we're talking about AWS cloud provider, right? So when AWS also provides such platforms on their own, or they may be giving you a Lambda service in which they can say you can write your code and do something. In such cases, it is called that it is a managed service. When you have to do things on your own, you have to create your own servers. AWS gives you the hardware and you do the things. And if you go wrong, it's your it's your mistake, right? But if AWS says, no, this is a managed service, I will take care of managing the service, the hardware, everything. You just use it, my application. Don't worry about, all my engineers are there. So you say you don't have to pay for the engineers, it's a free of, it's not a free of cost, but it's using the economies of scale. The cost is reducing because of multi-tenant model. The cost is reduction. So cost is to keep the cost low is very important. Otherwise, it's not a good business model, right? Why will everyone go to the cloud otherwise? So so a managed service would mean something that AWS is managing. Okay. So if you are supposed to create your own database server, install your own database server on the box or any machine, then it is not managed. But if AWS says, I have a database, please connect, start creating your tables. So what is an example of that? DynamoDB. DynamoDB, is a database. It's a managed service. Now, what kind of service it is? Is it an infrastructure service, platform service, or software as a service? It is a platform as a service, which is a database service, which is managed by AWS. And AWS is taking care, and that one service is catering to everyone, and what one account is doing, the other account does not know. And this happens to the multi-tenant model. So cloud, ultimately, it comes down to all these resources, right? Infrastructure, platform, softwares. It is a collection of all these services, these three. So since hardware, platform, software, networks, data centers always existed now, this word always existed, right? Is cloud something new thing? Was it born in 2009, 2010, 2008, or right from the time when the computers started? Well, cloud, there were always data centers. It's just that these data centers were, built physically by the private organizations usually. So I have, let's say, a big bank, a Bank of America. They will have their own data centers where the employees, can connect, where there's a rack of servers where they can connect, and one can install something on those servers, and those servers can have applications which can be catering to their employees, and also those servers can have applications which can be catering to the customers. So cloud always existed. It's just the term that we have introduced because so far this type of cloud is called private cloud, okay, where companies are having their own cloud service for their own employees and maybe for their own customers. It is not for anybody and everybody. Please come and register on my account, and it's for everyone now. It's a private cloud service. It's a private cloud. So that is the meaning of private cloud, because it is owned and run by the private companies and for the private business maybe, or some purpose, some private business. So cloud services can be categorized into three types: infrastructure services, platform services, and software services. And these services are commonly known as IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. So when you say infrastructure as a service, what does it mean? Well, first of all, the infrastructure word is very clear to me now. It's processor, memory, storage, networks, and maybe the security component related to the infrastructure also. Right? So when somebody says, I'm giving you this infrastructure, they're giving me this machine, they're giving me a processor, how? Well, they give it through their website, right? They make it so easy. They say just log into my website aws.com and say create a machine for me. What does create a machine means? So they go in the background. So you're calling some kind of a programmatic function, giving a command to AWS services saying please create a machine. And what does that service do ultimately? What does that function do ultimately? That function will ultimately create some machine. So maybe I'll show you some things. So there's something, it uses virtualization technology, okay? So, to create a machine. So does it give you a physical machine? It may give you a direct physical machine, but we can create a machine on a machine. That can be done using virtualization technology. So here I have a software called Virtualbox, and this particular laptop is running on Windows operating system. But if you notice, I have installed Ubuntu with a Hadoop mix, and then basically I use this for my experiments and for my students to demonstrate. Sometimes I have to demonstrate on Linux, and I don't have Linux, and how do I run Linux on my Windows? I use this software called Virtualbox Manager, which is kind of hypervisor. Hypervisors help you create virtual machines. You can think of this. Now I can start a machine over here. So let's say I want to create a new machine. So machine new. So I give a name for my machine. Let's say, UAT machine. And then what type of machine is this? Let's say it's a Linux machine. Okay. Is it a what type? Something, just give us some indicator what type of machine you have, what type of operating system you have, so that it can be intelligent enough to take some action. So I create a machine. It's saying, okay, now you have on my physical memory, it's a kind of a 16 GB memory I have got. And how much memory I want to allocate to this program. Now remember, other programs are also running on this computer, and if they are taking up the memory space, your virtual machine may run slow. Or if you give very less memory to the virtual machine, again it will run slow. So I may give say after 16 GB, 4 GB is fixed for this machine to run. And then I click next, and then I create a virtual machine which are recommended hard disk size. So I have to give a storage space also, because your computer requires what? A processor, a memory, and a storage. So it is not asking the processor, but usually when you're creating on cloud, it will also tell you how many processors you want to get. So I have a dual core processor, so it is going to be shared. So I create this, and then I use this format to all this machine data operating system is going to be stored in this particular file, which is in the VDI format. And this is a dynamic allocation. I don't want to go here. So this is the storage. It says 10 GB is what you should ideally give. So just let's make it 5 GB for now. Ideally I would give 20 GB, but just for experiment purpose. And it starts creating. And when I start, it will ask me the ISO file using which I have to create the machine. So it says I need an ISO file. So this is an ISO file. This is this is called it's a kind of your installable file. So this is VBox, but here is my Ubuntu. This is something you'll get it on Ubuntu site. You can download it as a 2 GB file. And once you start this, the operating system will start. So I don't want to install now, so I'm not going to select it, and it's trying to start the machine, and I can stop the machine. So if I click on this, I can power off the machine. So you see, this machine is running on the top of my physical machine. So this is a virtual machine which takes a piece of my hardware and uses a piece of my storage size and piece of my memory size and some processor, and runs the operating system. So I can power off, yes. So that's an example of a virtual machine. And so cloud providers basically use this virtualization technology where they want to install some software they they provide this infrastructure without giving you direct access to the physical machine. They will give you the virtual machine, and on that virtual machine they will install the software that is required. So I'm not sure whether we can. No, this is a little time consuming considering that we have time. Let me start this machine, if it can quickly show you how the machine looks like. So if you're getting into cloud, this things hands-on is very important. Creating virtual machines and using the services. It's taking a little bit of time. I think we can wait. So forget about this. Oh, there's a. Can I start this? Okay, it's trying to start the Virtualbox over here. So virtualization is a very important technology. Not only machines are virtualized, but networks are virtualized using VLAN technology. Storages are virtualized using SAN technology. So the direct access to physical hardware is usually not given unless you specially ask for it. And if you want a dedicated machine, then you need to, that's a separate type of request you need to give to the cloud provider. Otherwise, everything works on a virtualized layer on the top of the physical layer. So your virtualized layer is also an example of infrastructure. So Ubuntu is starting up, and soon enough, you can log in. So just an example of how this Ubuntu is starting up inside on my Windows machine. So let's switch. For now, let me power off this machine because we don't have time. To go through everything, but this was an idea about how infrastructure services provided. So whenever you're thinking about cloud services, think about infrastructure service, platform service, software service. And so now we come to the definition of cloud computing. So when we say cloud computing, what do we mean? So this is a definition. Cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with a minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So ubiquitous means I would be able to access my cloud from anywhere on any device. I should be able from my mobile, from my desktop, from my laptop, anywhere in the world. I should be able to, create a machine. So as I told you how the machine is created, but that command has to be given by you on the website or maybe programmatically. So it should be convenient, right? You should be able to start a machine, stop a machine, install a platform, or use a software. It should be on demand, right? You want it now, you should get it now. Not like only between 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock it will work. No, anytime, anywhere, you should be able. You should be able to get. And you should. What are you getting? Actually, you're getting a configurable computing resources, a shared pool. Well, now this shared pool is like your multi-tenant model, where one resource you're getting, but there are multiple customers. Trying to get access. So on one physical machine, I can have 4 virtual machine, and each of these virtual machine can be given to a separate customer. So that is the meaning of shared pool of configurable computing resources that can be rapidly provisioned. So the word provision means to provide. Okay, so I should be able to rapidly give you on your demand. Right now you want a machine, I should be able to start a machine and give it to you. And if I don't want a machine, I should be able to stop the machine. I should be able to even terminate the machine. So terminating the machine would mean just deleting that virtual machine, going to my VirtualBox and deleting that machine, right? So VirtualBox is just one example of your hypervisor, and we have Hyper-V, Zen, and VMware. All these are kind of hypervisors which can help you create machines and cater to different users. And lastly says it is a minimum management effort or service provider interaction. So it should be a self-service, that you want the machine. Nobody on the other side should be picking up the call, and nobody on the other side there should be no human being on the other side. Everything should be automatic. So you want to start a machine, you give a command, request on the website, and then you should see the machine is running. You want to stop a machine, it should be done automatic. So everything should be with minimal interaction. And so cloud is supposed to run quickly, on demand, anywhere, and with least human intervention. And that is the power of cloud. If you want to implement a blockchain technology, if you want to implement containers, you want to implement anything, a voice recognition software, anything and everything, any type of infrastructure service, any type of platform service, any type of software service, it should be cloud should be have the ability to offer it to you with all these characteristics. So that is what this slide is all about. So what is the characteristics of cloud computing? It should be an on-demand, broad self-service, broad network access, resource pooling. Resource pooling is the same thing, multi-tenant model, rapid elasticity. So this word elasticity means today I have one machine. I want to create a duplicate copy of this machine. Now, why would I want to make a duplicate copy of the machine? It is to manage the load, right, at times. Or maybe your database, is full. And now will your application work once your database is full? So automatically, the database should grow. It should scale. If you don't want that database, you should be able to reduce it. So whatever size you're using, if I'm using 1 GB, then I should pay only for 1 GB. Tomorrow I need a greater, want to extend this database, automatically it should increase it to 2 GB. So it is elastic. And tomorrow I don't have too much of data, but I have 2 GB of data, I should be able to elastically reduce it. So I can increase and decrease the number of machines, I can scale it. So it's a concept of vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, but it should be elastic. If there are 10 people accessing my website, I just need one machine. But if there are 10,000 people accessing my website, my one machine may not be enough. So I will create a duplicate copy of that using this feature of elasticity. So cloud is supposed to be elastic. So whenever you hear the word elastic, think about that, to grow or to reduce as per the needs of the customers, as per the number of customers using your services. And measured services, what? Measured services mean whatever the customer is doing, everywhere it should be measurable, right? Because at the end of the day, you will be billed that you used 10 computers, it was running for 1 hour, and you use this type of high-end computer, so the bill is so much. You use this kind of storage, and it was like 2 GB, and you use this kind of network access, and this is the charge. You use this kind of IP address. Everything should be measurable, because without measure, how will the business of cloud run? So cloud is supposed to be on-demand, broad network access, means anywhere, everywhere, anywhere in the world. Resource pooling should be there, it should be shared, right? So I cannot create a separate server for you, no. I have this limited amount of servers. Let me pool everyone and let them access it. I will, and share this pool of servers, share this pool of platform, something like that. So that is what this slide is about. On-demand self-service, unilaterally self-serve computing needs. Broad network access the cloud service from any type of digital device. Resource pooling, pool to serve different consumers, and choose a region. Yeah, so region in this case would mean that if you are in India, if the server is in India, it will be faster compared to the server if you're connecting to a server in America or in Africa or in Iraq, right? So for a person staying in Iraq, if the server is in Iraq, that network will be faster, the latency time will be lower. So here what they're trying to say that users should be able to choose a region in which they want to work. An Indian customer will want the server in India. So do we have a region supported by AWS? When we say region is supported, it means that server is supported, which means the data center is there, right? All this physical server is there. So in fact, AWS has a Mumbai region, and right now I think they have 25 regions, and they are keeping on increasing. So So elasticity refers to scaling, and measured service refers to measurable thing. You should be able to measure whatever services you're using. So this is just a definition of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in infrastructure as a service, we are focusing on processing, storage, networks, and any fundamental computing resources, right? So consumers should be able to deploy, manage, and control the operating system, limited networking, including firewall, storage, application, without actually defining, managing, or controlling the entire underlying physical infrastructure. So this last line is very important. You should not be able to touch, in a sense, you should not be able to directly work on the physical infrastructure. Everything should be virtualized on the top of the physical infrastructure. So if there is a physical laptop, you should not be able to directly work on the folders of the laptop. You can create a virtual machine, and in that you create some folder and you operate on that virtual machine. That's fine. But otherwise, so it is much easier for the cloud provider to control the virtual machine, because ultimately virtual machine is just a software. The moment they find something is wrong, they can delete that software, they can stop that software, they can control that software. But the moment they give you control over the physical infrastructure, then it becomes little riskier, and security issues can erupt if they give you direct access. So without touching the underlying physical infrastructure, they want to give you a processor. Without touching the underlying physical infrastructure, they still want to give you the storage, network, and whatever resources we're talking about. And platform as a service, the capability of the consumer to deploy on cloud infrastructure. Consumer created or required application created using programming language, libraries, services, and tools, right? So all your database server, file server, these are kind of platforms on which you build your actual application. So software as a service is the capability provided to the consumer to use the provider's application running on the cloud infrastructure that is accessible via thin client. So thin client is like your browser, from any digital device without having to manage or control the underlying operating system, storage, or whatever, So I'm accessing the software without having to worry about the platform or the infrastructure, right? That is already taken care of. So at the right bottom level, you can get direct access to infrastructure, but to a virtual infrastructure. If you want direct access to a dedicated machine, it's a separate service, and it will be more costly. So so we already spoke about private cloud, right? So cloud already existed, right from the beginning. Let me just. So cloud already existed right from the beginning. The data centers were already there, servers were already there, all this virtualization technology was already there. Private cloud was already there in the form of private cloud before. What was introduced in 2008-2009 was the public cloud, where AWS, the focus of the business is to provide a cloud service. The focus of the business is to give you a data center access. The focus of the business was to help you use the infrastructure, create your platforms, or use a platform, or you create an application or use an application. So public cloud, so AWS, gives you this kind of global infrastructure. It gives you an option of choosing the region. It gives you an option of choosing the type of machine, the operating system, the type of servers you want, and it gives you a way to create applications. So that is what is public cloud. So AWS is an example of a public cloud provider. Bank of America having its own data center is an example of private cloud. And what is a hybrid cloud then? Hybrid cloud is a mix of two. Now Bank of America may be having its own application, but maybe it wants to buy a new server. Now the question is, should it buy a new server, or should it use a server on the provided by the public provider, public cloud provider? So one can do that, but how do we connect? Let's say I'm working inside Bank of America, I'm working on customers' banking details. Is my network connected to that network? That is possible. When so that is a area of hybrid cloud. So when you're creating hybrid cloud, you're creating a kind of a connection. It's ultimately a network connections, right? Where you're playing with networks on public cloud, and you have your own public networks on your private cloud, and both of them are connected to each other, and you have defined your the security, your firewall policies to access the each other's network. So just because you are able to access a network, it does not mean somebody else is able to access a network. That network may be private. So even networks can be private and public, right? What you're exposing to the anybody and everybody versus what you're allowing your access to your own employees. And lastly is your community cloud, where your community cloud is basically where you a particular community, maybe like a set of educational institutes or maybe government agencies. Now government cannot store this data in public. Government may not have their own private cloud. Government may require to partner with some agencies within the within India. They may be partnering with everyone. So that data, that application, those are all very confidential. So they may say, no, we will use each other's cloud. We'll be connected to each other's cloud, and so we will have our own community cloud. So so it is a more mix of cloud services given by different cloud providers for a common purpose. In this common purpose is driven by the community. In the case of educational institutes, if we are using each other's cloud services, then it is for the education purpose. In the media business, if it is if all the filmmakers are using each other's cloud services, it may be that particular community. So community cloud is kind of a restricted cloud services for the community itself. So now we come to the AWS global infrastructure. How does it look like? So what does the infrastructure mean? So it would mean it's a set of data centers that are connected across the world to provide various cloud services. So they are all connected in some way via AWS global network. So here you see what the dots over there and the dotted lines connecting them. That is all AWS has put in place for you. So you see there is something in India over here. There is a region in India, and somewhere it is connected to this region in somewhere else, and they're connected over here. So since these are direct connections or direct wire, so it is like if I have a electricity in my hall and I'm having a direct wire connecting to my bedroom, that connection is private to me. Nobody else is using those lines. So which means it is going to be much faster. So in the same way, AWS is not using some ISP network, in the sense somebody else's network. This is their own wires. They are putting cables and their networks in place because they don't want somebody else to travel on this line, because it is a shared, otherwise that network will be shared with everyone. Then there's a security issue, plus there is a latency problem that could be there. It is like one road is given to you privately for you to drive your car. So if there are no other cars driving, then definitely you can drive as fast as possible, right? That is how it is. So AWS global network, you can configure your application in such a way that part of your application is working in one region and part of the application is working in another region, and both of them are using a AWS global network. So these are all data centers across the world. That is what this view is showing. So whenever you have to use any service, you have to tell AWS which region you're working in. Whether you want me to connect to the data center in Mumbai, or you want me to connect to a data center in America, you need to specify which data centers you want to connect to, and that is how you can specify it by, you can specify a region. Region is just a geographical area. This is the area where data centers are lying. Please connect me to some data center over there. So AWS has 25 regions in the world, and India has one AWS region in Mumbai, and the second region is coming up in Hyderabad. So this is a very good sign, because it means India is becoming an attractive place for AWS to create the data centers, and this ultimately means the amount of use, cloud, amount of cloud usage that is happening in this country. Plus, it creates the job opportunities, and India has a role to play, in this cloud services. So we can maybe look at, maybe go to some website, AWS website. So this is a machine I created over here. www.aws.com. Is my network fast? Is my network available? It is. So why not speaking up? Okay, so let me log into my account. So as I told you, on this website, I should be conveniently able to get access to any service on demand from anywhere. Okay, this is taking a lot of time. Okay, so Aws Management Console. So this is the I am the customer of AWS, and this is my home page. My kind of from where I can request for different types of services. So a lot slow for some reason. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know whether okay, so let me, while this is happening, okay, so let me log in as a root user. And oops, this is 2 M.Sc 2. Okay, now let me provide the password. So we can see SageMaker, that is a machine learning program and machine learning software. They're saying it is free for 1 month. Or maybe it's not free, just they're having them some services. So it's trying to connect to a region called AP-Southeast-2. Right, that region is actually a Mumbai region. I always work in Mumbai region. I say whatever work I'm doing, always connect to the Mumbai region for the speed purpose. Right now, this is if this is slow, it's because of my network, not because of AWS. Okay, so you see I'm logged in. I'm connected to Sydney region. So these are all the regions over here. So let me connect to Mumbai region. So essentially I'm saying I'm connecting to a region in Mumbai, a data center in Mumbai. And then if I want to create a virtual machine, there is a service called EC2. So you can see launch a virtual machine with EC2 in 2-3 minutes, or build a web application in 6 minutes, build register a new domain. Different domain services there. Basically, all and every service, everything that you're doing in software and hardware is available here. Even machine learning or anything. You have all these powerful machines over here. So I can launch a virtual machine. So just like I launched a virtual machine in Virtualbox, Cloud also gives you this facility to launch a virtual machine from here. I don't want to do too many steps due to the time constraint, but maybe just this screen comes up and gives you that information. So instances are like the machines that you have created. So I can create many machines if I want, and so you at this point when you're creating a machine, you can always tell what type of operating system you want, how much storage you want, how much memory you want, and you want how many cores of processor. So if you're doing anything in parallel computing, maybe you require a powerful cluster computing environment, or maybe with multiple cores. So a normal machine, our desktop machines may have 2 cores, 4 cores, but here you can get a lot more cores, like it can go up to 10, 20. So your AMI image is like that ISO file, right? You can it's not like an ISO file, but it's like a your machine, which is a ready-made machine which is there. So I can create a Linux machine by saying select over here, I want a 64-bit machine, and the storage is EBS, elastic block storage, and so on, everything is given. So it's a free tier eligible. So if you are using a free tier of AWS, this machine can be used freely for 750 hours. So whatever is in free tier. So all types of machine then comes with ready operating system. So this is one machine. If you want a database, you can use an RDS service, relational database service. And if you want a NoSQL database, then there is DynamoDB. So this is a managed service. You can create a managed NoSQL database. I can create tables on this. So everything is there. Whatever application architectures you're creating locally can be created over here. And this is accessible all over the world. So that is the power of cloud. So that is what AWS, a little bit demo I wanted to give. So AWS careers, there is a lot of certifications you can do. Different types of certification. Professional is is a higher level of certification. You can start with foundational certificates. It requires 6 months of fundamental AWS cloud and industry knowledge. And so if you have worked in 6 months, little bit if you have touched with the cloud here and there, you may be ready, to prepare for this exam. So some experience you should get. It does not mean you work somewhere, but do some project which is related to cloud, and that experience will help you, understand things a little better. So there is a cloud practitioner certification, and there is some, once you clear this, probably you can go for the solution architect associate certification. Or you can, you may want to do a develop. If you're doing a solution architect, definitely you're thinking about doing jobs such as, how to, what type of cloud architecture you want to use, what type of databases you should use, which regions to use, connect, what type of networks you should create, and what services will run in the network. All these will come under solution architect kind of job. If you're a developer, it will be like, I want to create a website, I want to create a, Java-based Lambda service, or something like that. And SysOps is something about operations, right? So whatever softwares you are creating, ultimately it has to be installed by somebody, right? So there will be a separate operation person. And I feel this DevOps is a very, promising area for the new people, because this is a mix of development and operations, and I think this is where maybe you can do this developer certificate, SysOps certificate, and then DevOps engineer. There's a very high demand for this, and so if you want to make your career, maybe you start with cloud practitioner certification, then move on to other certification, and then eventually reach over here. But you choose which path you want. You want to become a DevOps engineer, you want to become a solution architect, or you want to move into data analytics. So data analytics is a separate certification. Now, some of this certification does not mean you have to do the cloud practitioner only, then you will be able to do the other one. No, you may be independently, you can probably give the DevOps engineer exam directly without giving any other things. So that is also possible. So if you want to do a database specialty, then that is also possible, where you have all types of databases, data warehouses, and data migrations. And when we are talking about data, we are talking about videos or unstructured data, structured data, which is becomes like an input to other programs, especially to machine learning. Machine learning is very close to the data, right, that it comes through, and then you prepare the test data. And so if you want to do machine learning, then there's a specialty program. So you can do one certificate, you can do all certificate, but you choose your path. Okay, there are some people who are doing all the certification because they want to learn everything about cloud, and everything is connected. Machine learning, if you're doing machine learning, it does not mean there's no connection with the database. No, there is a connection with the database. So database does not mean there is no connection with the architecture, the cloud architecture that the underlying cloud architecture is using. So there is a connection. All these three does not mean there is no DevOps engineer to ultimately install your program. So there is a DevOps work in place also. So DevOps is all about the automation of the processes, whatever you're doing, configuration, installation, so and so forth. So that is a separate topic, and there's a separate area for security if you're interested in security. So we look at how does a cloud practitioner exam look like. It is a 65 questions, but it is not it is simple multiple choice, but if you don't understand the questions, you may, it will not be easy. So I think you need to get around 70% passing mark, and then only you clear this exam. You can schedule it at any time, like 2 o'clock in the night. You can say you want to schedule it at 2:30, and online you can get the exam, or you may go to a test center if it is available. So in these pandemic times, online proctored exam is the best way, but you have to make sure your camera is proper, working proper, your internet is working proper, everything has to work proper. Otherwise, you may lose the fee. So the fee is around $100 when you want to give the exam, and they give you a practice exam which is for $20. So, and it is a 90-minute exam. So let's look at some sample questions. Oops. Where it is. What's it now? Okay, so this is open. Okay, view, zoom, 100%. So see, this type of questions are asked in the exams. Let me go with the first one. So why is AWS more economical than traditional data centers for applications with varying compute workloads? Right, traditional data centers would mean like you are Bank of America. You are having your own data centers, and why AWS is more economical? How it is more cheaper, and what is better? That kind of stuff. So the answer is there are different. So one option is Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud costs are billed on a monthly basis. Maybe that is the reason. Customers retain full administrative access to the Amazon EC2 instance. Maybe that is the answer. Amazon EC2 instances can be launched on demand when needed. Maybe that is the answer. So actually C is the answer. And which AWS service would simplify migration of database to AWS? So let's say you have a database in your private company like Bank of America. Now I want to migrate the data to cloud. How do I do that? You can use AWS Database Migration Service. So this is an example of a platform service, AWS Migration Service. And let's take up some other question. Which service can identify the user that made an API call when the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud instance is terminated? Maybe you wrote a Java program on your local box to store some, connect to AWS and store some data. You made that API call, application programming interface call, programmatically. You didn't want a website. You went programmatically. You made a connection and made a call. Now, how will I know whether you did it or not? Or some unauthorized person did it or not? AWS CloudTrail. So CloudTrail will give you a trail of who did what at one time and what type of services access. So if it's very important for some security standard perspective, where we need to log everything that has been done. So this is just the answer. So that is the exam sample. This course a little bit overview, just kind of a glance I wanted to you all to have. What all is covered in AWS course. So there are 4 key areas. We talk about cloud concepts, security and compliance, technology, billing and pricing. So as I told you, billing is all about you have to measure first and then only you can bill, right? So we cover all these things in a cloud practitioner exam. So this is something which many of them may not be aware, but AWS Educator Academy, where an institute, like say you are an institute, you can register your institute with this academy, and initially the teacher may not be given rights to teach the students. The teacher has to be certified first. So the teacher will, the institute can nominate teachers on this website, and the teachers will then get the access, and they have to pass a certificate. And once they pass a certificate, teachers has the full rights to create classes for free if they want, or whatever approach they want to take. But they can give the same access to the students and teach the students with the online videos. And the best part about this academy is they give you lab access. They'll give you some AWS labs which is ready for testing purpose, which I feel no other courses give. Like if you go to Udemy, you will learn the course, but you will not have direct access, and you'll have to create your own account. But here they kind of create a lab environment directly in the AWS, and they tell you, okay, now go ahead and create a machine as per these steps. Okay, go ahead and create a load balancing architecture as per these steps. So it's a good thing. And I personally got certified because I wanted to pass on this education to my students, and so I'm a approved AWS educator for Cloud Practitioner course. And currently, I'm working on Solution Architect certification also, so that I can pass on this to the students, because usually this kind of courses, if you're doing it through some other institutes, then it may be very expensive, and so this one problem I felt, if I become an educator, then I will be able to reach out to many students. So that is all about it, and thank you so much. I hope that you had some understanding of the cloud provider, your career, how do you want to start. So certification is very important, if you want to get jobs in clouds. So without that, it gets a little difficult, And being associated with academy also, you also get access to all the jobs that is connected with AWS. Like AWS is connected with all the many other companies, so they constantly they tell you these jobs are there, and then it is on you. They'll also say they need certified students. So that is also important. So whoever has a certified students, I've seen they recruit almost immediately. So your struggle is very less when you have that certification, plus you have done the course, and you are associated with this academy. So this academy, as I said, can be associated with any other institute as well. So that is all from my side, and so maybe I can stop, recording this, and maybe questions will be open now.
Thank you so much, sir, for the very informational lecture. Mr. D'Souza is right with us. Sir, would you like to add anything to the session, or should we proceed with the Q&A round?
You can proceed ahead with the questions. No problem.
Okay. Sir, we have a lot of questions raised by many of the members in our audience. And thank you all for being so attentive. But due to the time limitations we have, we'll be answering a few for now, and then we'll answer the remaining questions individually. So we have our first question for the day. Our audience would like to know, how is AWS Cloud different from other cloud service providers, such as Azure and the Google Cloud, and which one is the best according to you?
Yeah. So when it comes to selection of cloud providers, there can be multiple reasons why one would go. It is like choosing between is Microsoft Visual Studio .NET is good or Java is good. So I think if my company mostly into Java, then definitely I would go with anything that supports Java. And if it's .NET, then definitely I would go with Microsoft. So ideally, if you have a kind of company which runs kind of mostly your Microsoft application, then you are to go with Azure. And why I would go to Google? Google, it works very fast. So, that is the thing, right? You search something on the Google and it comes in two seconds. Now, is Google as big as AWS? The focus area may be different. The focus area is Google is more focused on the platform that to provide. They are not, so concerned about the infrastructure and software services. So they want to quickly give a platform service possible. So you would ideally Google with a platform services, like you want to run some functions, and want to execute it very quickly, and you want to distribute it all across the world. So, but essentially, these companies were the late entrants into the cloud. The early entrant was AWS, and AWS is trying to give you everything, and they are doing okay. But I would go with ideally we have a dual cloud provider strategy. I would not put all my investment in one basket. What if that cloud provider has some issues, and so we always have to architect applications from that perspective.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Mr. Shubham Sharma in the audience wants to know about the jobs available in AWS. He's a recent college graduate and he wants to know how can he start his career with AWS as a fresher and what are the job opportunities available in AWS.
Right. In today's world, we are not just stuck in I know Java, I know Python. No, we are in emerging technology where technology has advanced, leaps and bounds. And we are looking at, do you know ML? Do you know, DevOps? Do you know AI? Do you know blockchain? So the demand is much higher. So how do students get onto that? So one possibility in cloud area, I would say certification, AWS certification, especially if you're tied to an academic, AWS academic, which kind of gives all these courses to all the institutes for free. So, you get these job opportunities also through them and discounts through them. So complete certification as soon as possible. Where it might be difficult as a fresher just to know to get into AWS. So learn something about cloud. Do some experiments on the cloud. There is a free tier on the cloud. So once you get a little bit acquainted, you aim for the certificate as early as possible. The more high certification you get, the more better job you'll get and less you'll have to struggle in your career. So the person who gets a certified person is more likely to be recruited compared to a non-certified person. So just doing your course is not enough. You have to, get mastery over the skills of these technologies and try to use cloud, because cloud, to enable these technologies through cloud is very easy because everything is installed. The platform is already available. You don't have to do any installation configuration. So you have to just know how to use the cloud. So aim on certification, and this should be a regular. Your studying does not stop with your graduation; it goes on for life. This is the way this line is. Every day something new. Every day nobody new person will come and teach you. You have to learn the new things on your own. But keep on getting certification. Keep learning.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of recent college graduates who are looking for career opportunities in AWS. So we have our next question. What factors needed to be considered while determining the cost of AWS?
It's... sorry, go ahead.
No, sir. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I got a question. What factors need to be considered while determining the cost of AWS? So
Yes.
now, why would so the way you can think of this is why I want to buy a new house, why I want to get a new job. So in AWS, definitely, why would you go to AWS? One reason, cost. So how would you determine, right? So determination is basically how we are moving on the cloud. If you have already, let's say, I'm already running a business, and already there are 10 employees, and already there are 10 computers. I've invested all this money, and now you're saying go to cloud. Is that more cheaper than to shift everything? Is that easy? So you have to do a total cost of ownership. It's called TCO. Once you do your TCO analysis, you will know you are saving more going to cloud, or you're not saving more. Sometimes when you do a TCO analysis, you will realize that you are saving maybe in the first year, but in the third year, fourth year, you may not be saving. So ultimately, so that should be one of your reasons, factors, to determine what you're migrating. So what are you going to migrate? You're going to migrate your applications, your servers, your databases. You have to make a choice. You cannot just switch off your company and then shift to cloud. No, it is a strategic move. It has to be moved in parts. You need to test things in parts, and if it works, every time you have to analyze. I imagine that I will get $10,000 saving. Did I get it? No, maybe I got $9,000 saving. Then make a decision. So it's not like you can just decide on the go, but you have to take some risk also and do some analysis before you move. All the cost analysis.
Thank you, sir. We have our last question for the day. cloud computing clearly offers a lot of benefits such as cost efficiency, it saves a lot of time, improved collaboration, and so much more benefits. Still, so many businesses have one major concern when it comes to cloud computing. Exactly how safe is the cloud? What are your views on it?
Yeah, so it's like saying, how much I can trust a bank. I have put my money in the bank. They have my money. How can I trust the bank? So bank works on trust, number one. So you trust the bank that they are using your money right, but actually they are making out of that money and then giving little money. But bank also has a rule. If something happens to me, if something happens to the bank, I will give you 1 lakh rupees or something like that condition. So we still trust a bank, So the way, so how safe is the cloud? That you need to decide. Do I trust AWS? Do I trust Google? Do I trust Microsoft? Now, for me, I go with this reputation brand. So why would they cheat with me? Why would it not be safe? If it is not safe, why would I even go with it? So definitely, it is in their interest that everything is safe. And the question is whether it is really safe. Then there are a lot of measures that they take to protect, the entire infrastructure. They have a lot of security in place, and they have a lot of measures. They have the best standards. So if I create a company, if I have to create a similar kind of environment, it will be very costly. I'll have to get people, all the configuration installation will be very, complex. But here they use the best and best of world's engineers, best and best of world facilities, and they protect it. And there is something known as a shared responsibility in the cloud. It means I give you I give you a machine, and you create a website on that. And on that website, somebody is logging in, and you're not supposed to give your password of your bank account to somebody else on that website, but you do give. Then whose responsibility it is when your bank account gets hacked? Is it cloud's responsibility? The answer is no. If they said cloud is going to provide a machine. I went to start a machine and it did not start. In that case, AWS is responsible. So safety is not only a one-way street. Safety is both ways. They are letting you inside their house. If you destroy that house, then your house will get destroyed also, because they've let you enter in your own house inside the cloud environment. But from clouds, AWS perspective, what I have seen is, they have done a good job, and it took me years, as and when I built application, I realized they don't allow everything that you are allowed to do on desktops. And that reason is exactly because of security. Everything is HTTPS based, means it is encrypted. So if you deal with security layers, there is a lot of security through virtualization. They don't give you direct access to physical infrastructure. Virtual machine can be destroyed. That's ultimately a software, but you cannot touch the physical hardware. So there's a layers of protection on the cloud, and you have to go with the reputed ones and reliable ones. That is the important thing. So which bank do you trust to put your money in? That is your choice. Which cloud you want to go in? Again, that is your choice.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope Mr. D'Souza was able to answer all of your doubts. I know we still have a lot of questions pending from the audience. We are really sorry, but due to the time constraints we have, we won't be taking any further questions. We'll try to answer all of the questions individually after the session. Now I want to invite Mr. Prasad Moguduri, CEO, University of Emerging Technologies, to present his thoughts on the opportunities in emerging tech. Sir, please.
Thank you, Shivani. Hey, do you want me to switch on my video? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to that, and I really appreciate James for taking this wonderful session. And in fact, I really thank Dr. Tagwa Musa for opening this session with such a uplifting message, especially about women in education and all that stuff. So I really like this, and I of course thank all the people who have been working behind the scenes, like Shivani and her team. It's been a wonderful journey so far. And the whole idea is for us to understand about emerging technologies, understanding the capabilities of all that we can do from emerging technologies, and also present you some opportunities to learn and become better. In fact, we call ourselves as a socially responsible commerce because we want to help people. To be honest with you, very interesting session. A lot of people are saying that. So let's look at what is University of Emerging Technologies. And then go from there. So as Shivani said, we are all into emerging technologies and also try to provide opportunities in emerging technologies for the people, especially for the students and also for the employees who are already there and who want to upgrade themselves, right? So what do we do? Very, very simply put, even before going there, right? We are not for credit university at the moment because we are not accredited by any foreign accreditation agency yet. But we have been working with some European agencies and also in American agencies to get accreditation because we want to make sure that we can also issue BS and MS degrees. So we're relentlessly working. I think it will take another 8 to 12 months before we can get an accreditation. Even before that, if it comes, it's okay. But definitely we are working for that. But I think what we have seen in the market that the need is all about short certificate courses which can get them jobs, which people can use into getting into direct jobs. So we have short certificate courses and especially practical training and internships for the outgoing graduates. And then also you can continue more and you can bundle the things as micro degrees. And most of these courses are, as I said, role-based and deployable, that you can get this thing. And we are also looking at some executive education, upskilling people who are in the jobs already, but they want to get better understanding about emerging technologies. So that's what we are trying to do. And also what we are also doing is we are working with some of the universities and colleges where we can go and teach some of the courses because right now, especially speaking of India, for example, the accreditation agency has opened up all the emerging tech BTechs, but there are not many people who can teach them, and also we reliably set up the courses and labs and maintain them, etc., and at an international standard. So we are offering a lot of services. In fact, the people who are attending from the colleges administration, they should take a note of it, that we can actually white label their courses and get the students ready for emerging tech, BTechs and BEs or whatever they are, right? So this is what we are doing, and once we get the accreditation, or we can partner with some accredited universities, then we can also work up towards joint degrees with emerging tech university and the local university, which is also accredited by either US or EU, European Union. So this is what we are doing. But again, as I said, the whole idea is, the biggest gap in the market right now is, it's not that you don't have online courses. Nowadays the knowledge is a commodity, right? You go to Google and what is AWS, and everything will come, Wikipedia, Google Mama, and you have YouTubes, this and that. But then why is that people are not able to get the skills? Because one, you need to have an experiential learning that you have to understand through a project. And also another big thing that we have is support, especially when you're doing an online education. It's very difficult to go through if you're getting stuck at a certain point. If you get stuck at a point, you can't just go forward because you need to be clarified on the doubts what you have. So for that reason that we are, especially University of Emerging Technologies is having something called academic enablement, and there will be academic enablers around the clock who can answer your questions and get you clarified and let you move on. So that's a big thing, the support. Because again, I keep telling people, if I have to believe the numbers of Coursera's and other organizations, they should have educated the whole world 3 times by this time. Okay, and it didn't happen because a lot of people, it's not that they're wrong or they're lying, but people are getting into those courses and then they're dropping off. They're not finishing them, most of them, because they don't have the support. So we're going to give the support. And picking on what Dr. Tagwa earlier said is that, the women and the disadvantaged, people, in a sense, people who are not very social and very, shy of asking things. This is a real good opportunity when you have all this support, and they can really go forward, because especially during these times in the online education, there is no camaraderie, there is no classroom, there is no guy next to you who you can discuss and ask certain things, or maybe there's nobody on the dais you can talk to. So we wanted to make that, and we will have an educator, we will have a lab assistants actually, so that those are called academic enablers. So we will always be there for you while you want to learn. In fact, it's not just about making money, on educating you, giving some courses and pushing down your neck, but it is more about you learning something and going out and practicing them, right? Getting jobs, etc. So, also one more thing that I want to tell you, although this is a University of Emerging Technologies, there are so many technologies that people need help with, like as simple as Salesforce or SAP or something else. All of them could be taught through this and be helped with through the academic enablement, and academic enablers, the labs. And now the question comes, how do we help more in this respect? So what we are trying to do is we are also having a computer on the cloud. It is very apt for the one James is talking about. We are having your computer on the cloud. That is absolute, cloud computing, and then you can actually have your machine, and you can work and practice there, and then avoid many problems that you would have on your local computer, either the speed or some other software interfering and all that stuff. So we really want to focus on education for you to get out of this. So that's where we are focusing on. So, again, I wanted to reiterate that we have the role-based education, experiential learning, and also live classes, live laboratories, and real-life projects, more industry orientation. We are also governed by the Emerging Tech Foundation. So the Emerging Tech Foundation is a non-profit body which wants to oversee our programs and make sure that they are more industry relevant and useful. So and also we have some people skills planned for this. People, how do you be confident? How do you face an interview? How do you work in a group? What happens in a project? Who should you talk to? All these things are simple little things. If we give and equip the new employee, new graduate, that will really help them to succeed. So that's what we're doing, and also we're bringing up career prep support. And you take these small short courses and you can bundle them into micro degrees, and that actually gives you almost like a certification. And the Emerging Tech Foundation itself is coming up with some certification on the emerging tech in general, and I think that will be a real boon, and we will go apply for that, and we'll give you those certificates as well. So, but this is how we're doing, and for example, right now we have internships open up for the people who are coming out of colleges, short certificate course and internship. We teach them the thing, and we'll give them a real life industry project, and we'll ask them to make it. These are the flyers. In fact, Shivani can publish, and maybe she can send you all these things. And similarly, there is a course going on Java. There is a course going on what is this, Bob? No, these are the basically the same internships and all that. And then there's finally what also we're looking at is one of the features that we have is how do you interact with your peers and with the teacher? Right now, and no matter how much I show you the PowerPoint presentation, it's not just enough. You need to speak, and it has to be extempore, and it has to be more useful, right? Just now when James was showing, he was showing not only the PowerPoint, and he's also showing the machine and how it does. But if I give him some whiteboard, he could explain much more and better, although he doesn't have time this time. But usually the whiteboard is a shareable whiteboard where all the people can real time participate on the whiteboard, write whatever they want to write, and be an interactive session. So we have our custom whiteboard. This is very useful, especially when you are working in the class, working with the teacher or among yourselves as students. The camaraderie is back with this. And then this is an infinite canvas. It doesn't stop you. You can go as long as you want, as wide as you want, and then also real-time collaboration. And also one more thing, you can record the audio, and you can make some markers. Hey, this 12th minute. I liked what he said, or maybe the 16th minute, and John can put it, and Joe can put it, and Mary can put it, and anybody can annotate the audio and then replay it, rather than playing the whole thing for an hour and trying to find out where it was. So you can even mark that and record, and there's so many other features that they're very, very useful for learning. So this is a very comprehensive platform for learning, and especially we want to really help the higher ed. Both the universities and colleges, they have lots of opportunities with us, and Chandra and Tagwa, who are our associate vice chancellors on this one, they can explain more. But definitely, we have a lot to offer, and there is a need. And in fact, we are falling behind on emerging tech because the education is not as solid as it should be. So we are helping all over the world. There are many colleges coming and becoming partners with us. So I encourage all of you, either you directly come and take the courses or work through your schools, and please spread the word. And I really appreciate you all coming. As I said, we are working with the university, the Emerging Tech Foundation. We can get this certification from them as well. And we are working with many other, like European Union and all, where we can be the de facto certifiers from the Emerging Tech Foundation side. But definitely, University of Emerging Emerging Technologies is following the Emerging Tech Foundation, and definitely it will help. And again, finally, what I would say is thank you all. Thank you, speakers, Dr. Tagwa Musa and James, and thank you, Shivani, for conducting this, and all the team behind you. I really appreciate it. And always you can reach out to me directly, but please watch out for our communication and take advantage of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of University of Technologies and our key sponsors, I would like to thank all our speakers and attendees for making this summit happen. Without your support, this would not have been possible. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Indian Standard Time, we have Mr. Rabbi Satter presenting his views on cross-platform mobile app development. Please visit our website for more information. That's it from my side today. Hoping to see you all tomorrow. Have a good day. Cheers. Thank you.